we're going to turn now to looking at disruption and winning in disruption. But before we do that, I have to, you spoke before about the use of AI and machine learning and how that frees people from the mundane so they could do the services.
Yep.
And you spoke to me about a word I rarely hear, Rachel. You told me how you like deviance.
Yeah.
So why do you like deviance?
I actually use the term positive deviance because so I've got I've done a master's in positive psychology, and I learnt, and also have had all of my career in the technology industry, and therefore have been in an industry that is constantly looking at disruption, and marrying kind of the theories and the philosophies of positive psychology with that constant disruptive environment is where positive deviance comes in. And a lot of people have a connotation of negativity when they think about deviance, but deviance is just it's a scientific term that measures like the distribution from the norm. And positive deviance is just saying, how are you different from the norm in a positive way? So we are constantly looking, when we're thinking about strategy, of how can we be positively deviant? How can we be bold? How can we be innovative? And how can we make sure that we're instilling the right disciplines and the right processes and the right, people experience and, or HR practices internally to encourage that positive deviance, which is going to be beneficial to our customers.
Martin, one thing you told me beforehand, that you're blessed at CBA with a very digital savvy executive leadership. You said you can't be a leader in a bank unless you're digitally savvy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So how do you then work with them to sort of help the bank protect itself from the disruptors who are threatening it?
It's a great question. I think the biggest challenge we have is not really around the leadership team, is because as you mentioned, they're very digitally savvy. It's more around that frozen middle, those that are the domain specialists that have all the knowledge about how to do the business the way that they know how. Mm-hmm. And it's our responsibility as technologists to educate and elevate that tier of the organization, to bring them into our camp, to show them the new ways of doing things and to kind of move them towards that kind of path of transformation. And I think that education piece is critical for us to be able to respond to disruption, because you're right, there's so much moving in this space. While we have strategic ventures such as X15 Ventures, which is part of our funding process towards disrupting business, doing it ourselves, it's still something that we have to look at every day for the marketplace, because everyone knows you've got to keep innovating, you can't sit still.
Okay. Matt, you were talking to me about we've got to recognize the CEO is a very lonely role. And actually, how do you communicate with a CEO and give them ideas so they can help broaden their thinking of where the business needs to go without telling them how to do their job?
Delicately, I guess. Look, I think we've found success, and in fact, we had a workshop this morning with a large Australian organization where it was exactly that. They're looking for innovation, and it's about starting small and finding a piece that we can latch onto that's meaningful. Take it out of theory and find a practical application of, in this case, our technology now can innovate a particular business process at this organization. And we've stood that up now, and they've seen some of the results from that. And now I think the palate is wet, and the conversation's now a little bit more open than it was trying to come in with pie in the sky thinking or something that just wasn't understood yet. And so I think we've been patient and focused on one small win.